Now, as we head towards Christmas, many of us are maybe dreaming of the holidays, maybe even planning a trip abroad.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But as we've seen in years gone by, the weather can sometimes cause big problems, grounding planes and causing chaos. We sent Lucy Kite to the airport to find out how they're preparing for the winter months.
There's no doubt our roads can be busy, but look upwards and it's a similar story in the sky, with more than 100,000 flights coming and going from the main Midlands airports each year. Now, most of the time, everything runs smoothly until winter hits.
Everything was fine up until around 3 p.m. when suddenly the snowfall got much heavier, at which point all flights in and out of the airport were suspended.
East Midlands Airport closed completely yesterday afternoon. 5 flights were diverted elsewhere.
12:30 this afternoon, and an Emirates Boeing 777 from Dubai is coming into land at Birmingham Airport. Winds were whipping over the runway and the pilot aborted the landing.
So what are our airports doing to make sure it's them in control and not the weather? Well, I've come to East Midlands Airport to find out.
This airport is up on a hill, which means it's exposed to all the elements. Winds, rain, fog, snow, you name it. It all happens here. But with 18,000 commercial flights every single year, and as the busiest pure freight airport in the country, well, they've got to keep things moving, which is why winter preparations start in July.
So we start preparing for our snow clearance plans, etc. in the middle of the year. So it's still bright and sunny outside, whilst we're looking at how many tractors and snow ploughs, etc. we've got, with some of the kit, the vast majority of it having already been serviced and ready and running beforehand.
And there's a lot of kit here and some big pieces of machinery that all do different things.
There is. Every piece of equipment has its own individual job depending on what it's designed to do. So we've got the prime movers, which are the big boy snow clearers. Those are what are used on the runway to get that cleared. It's almost like you imagine it, a military operation, the guys going back and forth down the runway.
And it's got to be, because if it does snow, there's a huge space to clear.
If you can imagine a football pitch, in terms of the area we have to clear, it's 87 football pitches.
Wow.
So it's not a small area. It's not something you'd go and do with a snow shovel and a brush, to be honest. In terms of the runway is 2,893 metres from end to end. You've got exactly the same as that on the Alpha taxiway. So that's, you're already looking at almost 6 kilometres of just straight run that you've got to do to get aircraft on the ground and off the runway.
But even with the best plans in place, sometimes things do go wrong. Like in January 2013, when the snow got the better of them and the runway had to close.
It's certainly not something that we take lightly by any way, shape or form. Ultimately, safety is paramount, so we look at the runway, we look at how quickly the snow's falling, and when we get to that point whereby we can't get it back to black, as we'd call it, back to the black top, then that's why we'll look, hang on a second, do we need to take a bit of a respite here and re-evaluate the situation? Now,
it's not just snow that impacts the runway and aircraft safety. Throughout the winter months, our greedy feathered friends fly in completely unaware of the trouble they could cause.
So in winter in general, we'll find that we'll have the larger gull species on site. When you've got wet weather, the worms get basically washed out the grass. The gulls think, well, hang a second, I've got a strong wind.
I've got to say, I'm surprised that this doesn't scare all the birds away.
If only,
that's not effective enough.
If only it did, it'd make my job a lot easier.
As it is, Will has to take to the runway himself throughout the day to scare them off by turning his car into a bird.
When you play a distress call, birds of the same species will think, well, hang on a second, something's going on, another crow or gull is being attacked. They'll actually come towards you at first to see what's going on, and then when you switch it off, they actually assume that the bird has either been killed or maimed to a degree that they basically go away.
Well, all the work down here ensures that what happens up there runs smoothly.
But at 53 metres high, the team in air traffic control see the weather before anyone else, and it's their job to spread the words.
The weather is a critical part of the job, so every half an hour the controllers or an assistant will input the weather, so the visibility, the cloud, temperatures, etc., are all put in there, and the pressure, which is quite an important factor for the pilots, and that then goes out automatic on a recording system for the pilots to tune into.
And the weather they dread the most is strong winds and thunderstorms, the conditions that could ground aircraft. And it's not just the aircraft that get thrown around in the winds. This tower sometimes sways, doesn't it?
It does. There's not many offices that you work in that actually blow in the wind, but we do, because we're such a tall concrete structure. It's been specifically designed like they do to slightly give with the wind. So once we get above about 20 miles an hour wind, we start moving.
They have some impressive kit to monitor the weather here, but this is a visual control room, which means the most important thing is to look out of the window.
Some really good geographical points that we use. Again, it gives us an indication of what the visibility is. So, for example, we've got Loughborough University campus, the flaps down there, just down to the southeast of us, which is about 10 kilometres. We've got Ratcliffe on Soar Power Station, always a good one. We've got Breedon on the hill, the church on top, just over there.
It's looking quite misty and murky.
It is, yes,
so
today.
The weather's clearing from
Definitely
the north.
clearing from the north, yeah.
So the team are all ready for winter, whatever the weather throws our way.
So that's the sort of things they have to do to prepare. Janelle's joined us in the studio now. Janelle, do they have to worry anytime soon, weather-wise?
No, they don't have to worry anytime soon, because actually we've just had the third mildest autumn on record. So that means temperatures have been around 1 Celsius above what they should be for this time of the year. So what we are expecting